Hello everyone. It's me again. And today I wanted to um really talk about something which I think is weird, but it's going to combine physics and philosophy, and it's also kind of just an excuse for me to talk about math again. So yeah, here I am, and I wanted to talk about the physics of resentment. What do I mean by that? Well, typically resentment is is solely directed within oneself, within the psyche, within the soul, within the whatever you want to call it, right? But within here, um, within the self, and so I think that that's a major problem, and it's a physical problem, and the main thing is that we're not treating resentment as a vector. And if you don't know what a vector is essentially um a quantity which has magnitude, like it has a size, but it also has a direction. The problem with resentment is that people, for most people at least, it only has a magnitude, whatever that magnitude may be. Maybe a little resentment, maybe a lot of resentment, right? But it typically doesn't have any direction. And you're like, okay, well, how can I give it a direction? The way you give it a direction is you direct it outward. Okay, that's all well and good, but that can be bad, right? You can cause a lot of pain and a lot of damage. No, the type of outward direction that I'm talking about, and you can see my hand and arm and fingers, is the direction towards your goals, bro. Towards your goals. Because see, um it's like taking the absolute value of resentment when it stays in here, in the sense that no matter where, even if it's a negative resentment or a positive resentment, as long as it stays in here, it's still going to become identical. Like when you take the absolute value of whatever positive or negative number, right? It is identical with itself, or its regular form as a natural number. Nah, but we're not natural in here, brothers and sisters. We're unnatural. We have goals. We're disabled. We're mixed. We're not the majority. We have goals. And so, brothers and sisters, give your resentment direction and not just magnitude, and make it a vector. In fact, you should make it a vector field. And if you guys don't know what a vector field is, it's basically you take a graph, right? Like a Cartesian plane, like a rectangular graph paper type thing. And for each and every point on that graph, you assign a vector to it, in other words, a thing with a specific magnitude or quantity and a direction for every single point on that graph. And what you'll see is that eventually, you know, that vector space will have a pattern to it. In other words, it'll have an overall direction to it within all of the little tiny vectors that you've assigned to it, and it goes towards something. That's how that's how you need to use resentment. And this is how they track hurricanes. This is how hurricanes work. All those models are big vector fields, big vector spaces. But what can we learn from the vector spaces is that we need to use them to have a direction and have an advantage. Alright guys, that was the physics of resentment. I hope you like that.